When the Trump White House announced a surprise peace deal in August, the world was taken aback. For the first time in decades, a Middle Eastern country agreed to recognize and normalize relations with Israel. All thanks to the hands-on and top-secret negotiations driven by White House senior advisor Jared Kushner and a tight circle of White House officials. The United Arab Emirates and Israel are scheduled to finalize their peace agreement at a formal ceremony at the White House on September 15, a victory for the Trump foreign policy team. So much so, President Trump was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize on Wednesday. The Israel-UAE deal is the first of what is expected to be many Middle East peace agreements with Israel. Just weeks later, the White House made another surprise announcement, a brokered peace deal between Kosovo and Serbia, a deal that also included Kosovo, a Muslim-majority nation in Europe, to open and normalize relations with Israel, another landmark victory. In the long term, the White House is optimistic the economically driven peace deals it has brokered will have widespread effect throughout the region. Peace in the Middle East is no small feat, and certainly in the interests of the world. But one group was not happy. In response to the Israel-UAE peace deal, which incidentally ensures the West Bank is not annexed, a key demand of the Palestinians, the Palestinian Authority drafted a resolution calling the Arab League to reject the peace deal altogether. A resolution the Arab League turned down in a devastating blow to Palestinian leadership on Wednesday. One American News asked Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany for any insight into the Palestinian reaction from the White House's vantage.
Yeah, through the deal, President Trump made additional progress on reaching peace in the Middle East. Kosovo and Israel agreed to mutual recognition and normalization of ties, and Serbia committed to moving its embassy to Jerusalem only a few weeks after the historic Abraham Accords between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. This is another huge step forward for broader peace in the Middle East and the rest of the world. I'd refer you to the Palestinians for their reaction, but it is quite telling that this historic agreement between Serbia and Kosovo addressing a decades-long conflict was only mentioned one time on CNN and one time on MSNBC.
The grounds for Palestinians rejecting peace in the Middle East? It was the same objection the Palestinian Authority gave when an unmarked UAE plane landed in Tel Aviv back in May with 16 tons of free medical aid for the Palestinian people. The Palestinian leadership rejected that free medical aid for their people and months later rejected regional peace for their people purely on the grounds that they, quote, had not been consulted beforehand. Rion, One American News, the White House.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.